always room. This will always, it's just the way things are and the way it's supposed to be. And the fourth reason is that we ignorantly begin to believe that it's not going to require work for any relationship to work. I want to tell you something, and this is funny when you talk to couples, because I'll talk to couples and they say, we're getting married. I say, well, good, come on in and we need to talk about this. Oh, you don't know. We're really in love. Yeah, I know, but I'd like you to come in so we can talk. Oh, we don't need to talk. All you need is love. Da, 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 da. All you need is love. And we've got it. We've got it. You have no idea. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking you have no clue what's going on. Two things are at play here. Number one is what the book of Proverbs says, the way of a fool is righteousness in his own eyes, but he who heeds counsel is wise. When you begin to believe that you don't need any help, you're a fool. Bible's words, not my words. You're unwise to think I can handle this myself. Well, we can handle this, we love each other, and I'm okay, I'm a pretty smart guy, I can do this. What makes you think that you can help us? Listen, the Bible has some very practical things to say about relationships and what we should do. And the second thing that we never figure in this component is the spiritual dimension of this. I want you to know something. As much as the family is God's will, we're supposed to call him Father, and he invites us into the family. And by the way, if you're single, he puts the singles into families. Psalm 68 says. So that's why even on the front cover, we say, welcome to our family. Everybody here, single or married, should feel like they're involved in a family situation, because that's what a congregation is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a family. But also understand this, that Ephesians chapter 5 begins by saying, walk in love. Continues on down about halfway, walk in light. And then it says, walk circumspectly. That's heedful of consequences. And then it says to wife, you need to yield to your husband and trust him like you do the Lord. And husband, you need to love your wife as Christ loved the church and gave himself for the church. Then it goes on down, and it's unfortunate separation there of chapters, but it says, now children, you need to obey your parents. And parents, you need to make sure that you don't provoke your kids to wrath. And you people who are employees, it says servants, you need to obey your masters. You need to do things that are right. You need to work hard. And you who are in charge, you employers, you need to make sure you treat your employees right. Finally, all of you. The context of spiritual warfare, finally all of you be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. The context of that is husband and wife, parent, child, employee, employer. Relationships. In the context of relationships, we're dealing with spiritual assault. Make sure you arm yourself, because the devil is supernatural, but he's so supernatural, he's natural. He comes into relationships because he wants to break up your marriage, he wants to break up your family, he wants to break up your business, he wants to break up your neighborhood. He wants to break up relationships, because that's what he's all about. Because we have something so uniquely wonderful. We're made in the image of God, and part of what he does is begin to show love in us and through us, and love in our relationships at any dimensions. And there's multi-levels of dimension here. You talk about the people you work with, the people you live beside, the people you live with. All of us have relationships, and he has set himself to disrupt and destroy wherever he can. And if you don't know that, then you become target practice. You become lion bait, because he seeks to devour whoever he can. So I want to make 4 suggestions for you this morning real quick. We're going to continue on this for a while. But number 1 is to learn to court creatively. Before you're married, when Marcia lived in Cleveland, Ohio. I was in Canton, Ohio. We met at college. And then during the summertime, we continued to date. I had to drive an hour and a half one way, and that's flying pretty good. An hour and a half one way to get there, take her on a date, stay till like midnight or so, drive all the way back. I'd get home at 2 to 3 in the morning. I'd get up and go to work at 7 o'clock in the morning, because I worked in the summertime. And you're young and stupid. I'd function on 3 or 4 hours sleep, because I was so in love. I was stupid, just stupid in love. And that's the way it is before you're married. You're just kind of, there's a switch that hits men, and your brain disengages, and you become stupid, and you do all kinds of stupid things. Like Jacob, when Jacob wanted to get married and he saw Rachel, she must have been a fox. And I love that woman. And she goes to her father, her daddy, and said, Laban, I want your daughter. Okay. I tell you what, you work for me for 7 years, you can have her. So he works for 7 years for this. I mean, he must have been, man, I can't wait, can't wait, can't wait, can't wait. And then finally comes the wedding day, and he pulls the bait and switch. He goes into this dark tent, and he wakes up in the morning, the lights are on, and walks outside, and there's Leah, the older sister. Ah! Oh, you got to be kidding me. What did you do? Oh, I forgot to tell you the rules. You know, the older sister has to get married first. Well, what now? Oh, you can have Rachel just work 7 more years. Okay, I really love her. I'll work 7 more years. So that's how we have 12 tribes from that whole incident. But before, the point that I'm making is, before you're married, you do all kinds of stupid stuff. Spend all kinds of money because you're in love. Then you get married. And I want to tell you, step number 1 after you're married is to make sure that you still focus on the relationship. Do you know what happens when you get married? You stop dating and you stop the flow of love, because the very things you were doing in terms of sacrificing your time and your money and your sleep, you don't sacrifice anymore. And because you don't sacrifice anymore, the feeling's gone. And I can tell you, when the feelings go, it's because you've stopped doing the right thing. So you need to date your spouse once a week. You need to go on a date. And you need to, because, well, you know, I just love her so much. Let's face it, the older you get, the less important looks are. Right? At one point in my life, I was a stud muffin. And now I'm just got muffins. I don't know what happens. I don't know what happens. I feel 20. I feel like I look like 20, but I'm not anymore. And so, you know, if you get married just based on how someone looks, you know, every year you're further out of business. You know, you better get plenty of paint and stuff going on there, because, you know, it's just a matter of time till the cracks start showing. And you got to paint them up pretty good to cover the cracks. But after a while, you can't cover them at all. Reminds me of a video clip I got. I want to show you a little thing. I think you'll enjoy this. This comes from a friend of mine who sings with...
God Leslie, sir. We got married last Friday. My girl was right there beside me. Our friends were all gone. We were alone, side by side. We were so happily wed when she got ready for bed then. Her teeth and her hair she placed in a chair, side by side. One glass eye so tiny, one hearing aid so small. Then she took one leg off and placed on the chair by the wall. I stood there broken-hearted. Most of my girl had departed. I slept on the chair, there was more of her there. My side.
That's good. Number 2, communicate meaningfully with your spouse. You know, it's amazing to me how few questions we ask before we get married. And if you're going to buy a car, you ask all kinds of questions. You know, how much mileage there? What kind of maintenance? Who owned this before? You know, I want the Carfax, please. But when we go to get married, sometimes we get married without even knowing the person. Here are some questions that I would ask and encourage in premarital counseling. Number 1, where do you want to be 10 years from now? Number 2, how many children do you want to have? It's amazing how many things they don't talk about, but you need to talk about. Number 3, are you a saver or a spender? Number 4, how did your family deal with conflict? Was there any conflict resolution? Number 5, what was the saddest moment in your life? It's amazing the number of things that spouses don't know about one another. The favorite color is like the couple that went to the couples retreat, and the presenter was talking about you should know everything about your wife, and the one guy says, for example, you should know